These 5 things will change your life forever. Listen and soak up the wisdom. In this unique video, I will tell you 5 things that a wise person never voices. You'll be surprised by the last of them. But before we begin, I want to share with you one important story that will help you better understand the main idea of this video. So listen carefully, it matters. Imagine a small town where there lived an old gardener who was known not only for his beautiful gardens, but also for his profound wisdom. People came to him not only for gardening advice, but also for his unusual outlook on life. The old man had a special way of teaching through the beauty of his gardens. One day, a young and energetic man, full of curiosity, came to the old man for instruction. This young man was known in town for his cheerfulness and sociability, but felt he was missing something more, something that would give his life real meaning. The old man listened to him and offered him a challenge: work in the garden for a whole week, but keep quiet. Every day at dawn, the gardener imparted a life lesson to him, but always silently, through action. The young man accepted the challenge with enthusiasm, interested in what he would learn. Day 1, the value of silence. At dawn, the old man took the young man to a special place in the garden and showed him how to carefully prune the roses without saying a word. With gestures, he seemed to be saying, "Silence allows us to hear what words cannot convey. Learn to be mindful and observe the world around you." Day 2, wisdom in restraint. The next day, they planted seeds and the old man showed them how to carefully choose a place for each plant. Restraint is a virtue that protects our affairs and relationships. Let your actions speak for you. Day 3, cultivate positivity. By watering the plants, the old man showed how important it is to avoid negativity and increase joy and gratitude in your life. Positivity is like you. Day 4, selfless generosity. Nature gives without expecting anything in return. The gardener gestured as they fed the birds. Do good for the sake of the good itself, not for recognition. Day 5, empathy and understanding. By caring for an old tree, the gardener showed that one must understand the needs of every creature. Avoid discussing other people as mistakes. It is important to seek understanding and support. Day 6, facing fears. Working in the garden, the old man taught that fears should not stop you. Face them and find strength within yourself. Day 7, true wealth of the heart. The last lesson was that true wealth is not measured in material things, but in relationships and inner abundance. The young man was deeply moved by these lessons. He realized that the most important knowledge is imparted without words, through action and presence. These principles became his guide in life. This story shows 7 things we should keep to ourselves, other people as secrets, personal agendas, complaints, good deeds, other people as mistakes, fears, and our material possessions. Now that we've learned about them, let us move on to the 5 things a smart person never says. Let us start with the first one, gossip. Imagine you are sitting in your office drinking coffee when suddenly you hear, "Did you hear what happened to Maria?" Curiosity takes over, but stop. Do you really need to know? Gossip is like a sweet that is pleasant at first, but then leaves an unpleasant residue. So why are we so drawn to gossip? Studies show that 65% of our conversations are gossip, but not all gossip is bad. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar argues that gossip has helped humans build social bonds. However, it is important to know the measure. How do you know when you've crossed the line? If your words might embarrass the other person, don't say them. If the information isn't from a reliable source, don't spread it. And if you rejoice in other people as failures, it is worth stopping and reflecting. It is hard to resist temptation, but redirect your energy. Instead of gossip, tell something good. As Socrates said, the way to a good reputation is to be what you want to appear to be. Now let us move on to practical solutions. Take a challenge. Try not to say anything bad about others for a week. You will see your perception change. Before you say anything, pause and think about whether it might be worth talking about something good. If you fall into the gossip trap, don't berate yourself. It happens to everyone. The important thing is to realize it and change. As Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you do better. Number 2. Provocations. Have you ever been in a situation where someone is trying to piss you off? That uncomfortable moment when you feel yourself boiling inside and are ready to utter harsh words. But before you succumb to this ploy, let us understand why reasonable people avoid provocations like children try not to eat broccoli at a feast. Imagine that provocations are like annoying commercial breaks during your favorite show. What do? You change the channel, right? That's what smart people do with provocations. They just change the subject. But why is it so important to avoid these communication traps? The fact is that our brains are wired for threats, and provocation is perceived as a social threat. It's like when someone yells, "Look out! There's a tiger in the bush." Your survival instinct kicks in and you're ready for action. However, this is where emotional intelligence comes in. It's like a superpower that helps you see what's behind other people's actions. Emotionally intelligent people realize that insecurity, pain, or boredom are often behind provocation. Do not think that avoiding provocation makes you weak. On the contrary, it takes more strength to resist than to give in. It's like giving up that last slice of pizza when you're on a diet. It's hard, but the feeling of victory afterward is priceless. And how do you apply this to life? The next time someone tries to provoke you, imagine you're a duck. Yes, a duck, because water rolls down its feathers, leaving no trace. In the same way, let the provocation pass you by without hitting you. Another way is to use humor. Imagine that you have a shield of jokes that deflects any provocation. When someone tries to jab you, respond with a light joke. This will not only disarm the provocateur, but also diffuse the situation around you. You are like a comedy ninja in the midst of a verbal duel. Every time you avoid provocation, you strengthen your emotional muscles. It's like working out at the gym, only for your brain. And the best part is, you don't have to lift weights or sweat. Just stay calm and smile. So, the next time someone tries to bully you, remember that you are smarter than that. Stay calm, smile and move on. Your future self will definitely say thank you. Number 3. Social media privacy. Have you ever wondered if you should put all the details of your life on social media? Think of your life as a house and social media as the windows to that house. Would you want anyone to be able to look inside? Probably not. But that's what we do when we share too much online. Don't worry, I am not going to berate social media. They're great tools if you use them wisely. The key is to find a balance between what you post and what you hide. Did you know that even technology professionals are very careful about what they put online? Many of them minimize their social media activity. Why? Because they understand the risks better than anyone else. Your online posts are like digital tattoos. Once you post something, it can stay on the internet forever. That awkward selfie from a party on Saturday night could suddenly pop up in your next job interview. Ouch. But it's not all that scary. There are smart ways to use social media while maintaining your privacy. For example, have you ever thought about creating separate profiles for your personal and professional life? It's like having two different closets, one for work and one for vacation. Now let us talk about passwords. Yes, I know it is not the most exciting topic, but trust me, a good password is like a strong deodorant. You don't realize its importance until you actually need it. Use unique and complex passwords for each account. And no, password 123 is not considered a good password. Another thing to consider is geolocation. Sure, it is great to share your photos with exact coordinates. But do you want everyone to know where you are at every moment? It is as if you strapped a GPS to your back and gave control to strangers. By the way, how many of your social media friends do you know personally? It is easy to fall into the trap of collecting friends like collectible cards. But remember, every new contact is a new window into your personal life. And don't forget about privacy policies. Yes, those are the long texts that no one reads. It might be worth it to at least start reviewing them or finding short versions of them. It is like reading the composition of the foods you eat just for your digital life. Ultimately, using social media wisely isn't about fearing or wanting to disappear from the online space. It is about being aware and in control of your digital activity. Think before you post, choose who you share with, and protect your personal information like you would your toothbrush. Number 4. Empty promises. Imagine you are at a party and a friend asks you to help move next weekend. Without hesitation, you agree, even though you already know you have other plans. Sound familiar? You've just fallen for the hook of empty promises. Empty promises are like checks that can't be cashed. They sound convincing, but when it comes time to fulfill them, there is nothing behind them. And like bad checks, they can lead to a lot of problems. Why do we make empty promises? It turns out that our brains seek social approval. Saying yes seems like an easy way to please people, but this tactic can be very costly in the long run. Imagine your brain is a bank. Every time you make a promise, you are making a deposit into another person's trust account. But if you don't keep that promise, it is like a major withdrawal. And as with any bank, if you make too many withdrawals, you can end up at a disadvantage. How do you avoid this trap? Here are some tips. Think before you promise something. Before agreeing, give yourself time to assess whether you can fulfill it. Learn to say no. It is not as easy as it sounds, but it is an important skill. Remember, it is better to have an honest no than a fake yes. Be realistic in your assessment of your time and capabilities. You're not a superhero and you have your limitations. Express your thoughts clearly. If you're not sure you can accomplish something, say so. People will appreciate your honesty. Always keep the promises you make. If you made a promise, do everything you can to fulfill it. Your reputation will only benefit from it. Remember, wise people realize that a promise is a serious commitment. It is not just words thrown in the air. It is a contract of sorts that can strengthen or destroy a relationship. Even in business, keeping promises, so the next time you are tempted to make a promise without thinking, remember that your words have weight. They are not balloons that you can release into the sky and forget. They are anchors that bind you to people. A smart man carefully evaluates his commitments. He doesn't promise the heavens and stars, realizing that he can only offer a candle. Instead, he promises less but delivers more. This is how strong reputations and long-term relationships are built. Number 5. Intelligent handling of personal grievances and complaints. When was the last time you felt like work was literally squeezing the life out of you? You are not alone. Imagine your job is a pressure cooker. If you don't let off the steam, it will eventually explode, leaving behind chaos. Your complaints are like that steam. The only question is how to manage that pressure. The first step is to take a deep breath. Yes, that's right. Before you vent your frustration, take a minute to breathe. Did you know that just 60 seconds of deep breathing can significantly reduce your stress levels? It acts like a superpower that helps you stay calm. Now ask yourself, is it really worth voicing this complaint? Sometimes we just need to talk it out. But other times complaining only makes things worse. It acts like scratching a mosquito bite. It feels better at first, but then the itching gets worse. If you decide a complaint is worth hearing, turn it into a constructive suggestion. Instead of "I hate this project," say, "I think we can improve this project." Feel the difference? It acts like turning lemons into lemonade, only in a professional context. Be wise in choosing the people with whom you share your complaints. Your coworker may be a great conversationalist for office conversations, but he or she isn't always the best option for work problems. Find someone who can really help. It acts like choosing the right doctor. You wouldn't go to the dentist if you have back pain, right? Remember that constant whining can be contagious, and not in a good way. It acts like an emotional cold that spreads throughout the office. Before you realize it, everyone around you is already sneezing negativity. And who would want to work in such an atmosphere? No one, I assure you. Instead of complaining, focus on what you can control. If you don't like something, offer a solution. If someone is making you uncomfortable, try talking directly to that person. It acts like steering a ship in a storm. You can't control the weather, but you can control your ship. And if none of that helps, there is always the option of changing jobs. Sometimes the best solution is a new environment. It acts like changing the channel if you don't like the movie. You don't have to keep watching something you don't like. By using these things, you can change your life for the better. Watch our videos, soak up the wisdom, and think about what you're doing. You will succeed.